So now, if there's anything the Hebrew boys need, they need a rescue. They need a rescue mission, and they need it right now. Oh, God, I know you heard us talking, and I know you heard the answer we gave. And oh, God, I know you already know the temperature of the furnace. Now, God, we don't brag, don't you? And God, we don't open up our mouth and we don't testify that you're able to deliver us. We stood and would not bow. And God, because we didn't bow, we need a rescue right now. Why would you not come when you saw that we didn't give in? Why would you not answer when you saw that we didn't buckle and fold? Why would you not come to my rescue? Since we held up your arms and declared you to be the only God, God, we're one step away from the fiery furnace. And I want to know, Mr. God, which way are you coming from? Lord, have mercy. Which way are you coming? Right now in verse 20, we need a rescue. The next step is in the furnace. I come to tell you that God will show up. But my grandma said, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Stop right there. Put brakes on, because end time is now. Come here, come right here. Always come on time. Well, on time is right now. We are one step away from the furnace. When you gonna show up? Now y'all got to feel the Hebrew boys. How many times have you said to yourself, hey, Mr. God, when you gonna show up? The eviction notice is on the door. The repo letter is in the mail. When you gonna show up? I just pulled down from the cupboard the last can of collard greens. When you gonna show up? I just reached in my deep freezer and pulled out the last chicken. When you gonna show up? I just got my cutoff notice. When you gonna show up? The man is parking the truck outside of my door. He's headed for my meter. Hey, God, when you gonna show up? Look at somebody, say, neighbor, I don't know when, but I do know he will. He will. He'll show up. Let's walk through this thing here. God, I feel like preaching up in here. Look at here. So the king said, I want y'all to take him and throw him on in there. The men who grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they took the boys up. They went over and opened up the furnace. And then when they come around to throw them in the furnace, the fire slew them. Whether they suffocated from the smoke or whether the heat from the flame consumed them. But this is what I want you to note. For all of you out there who ain't got no better sense than to let folk get in your ear and pump you up to do stuff that you know is ungodly wrong, you got to understand something. It's the one who puts their hands on God's anointed, on God's people, on God's little children who's got to suffer the consequences. The king ran his mouth, but he was sitting up in his loft. It was the three men who touched God's men. It was the three men who wanted to execute the king's judgment that lost their life. I want you to know something. Don't let folk pump you up to make a fool out of you. Don't let folk fill up your head to cause you to lose your job. Don't let folk get in your ear. Come on, child, if it were me, I'd have said this to him. I'd have done that right there. The devil is a liar. Because if you wanted to be you, then violate the rule and let me see you do what you say. Don't lose your job following other folk advice. Don't lose your positions. Listen to other people. Don't lose favor with God, favor with the shepherd, favor with the church, carrying out somebody else's will. Here's how it ought to work. Hey, king, if you want him in there, you toss him. These men belong to God, and I shall not touch what belongs to God. I shall not handle God's people. For I heard the word say, you're better off with a millstone round about your neck, dumped into the depths of the sea, than to touch one of God's little ones. I heard the word say, touch not my anointing, do my prophets no harm. I ain't gonna touch them. You do it yourself. Look at your neighbor and say, don't pump me up to get me in trouble. Don't pump me up to lose favor. Don't pump me up to lose my credit. Anything you want done, tap your neighbor and say, do it yourself. I gotta work my way out of here. Listen here, about 5 or 10 more minutes now I'm out of here. So, take them over there. Throw them in there. They drop dead. They dead now. Now here comes the problem. Now I need you to note something here. The Hebrew boys are in the furnace. And it is quite evident that there's a long lapse of time before the king gets off his throne. And he goes down there. It shows you how angry the king was. He's the king. He could have sent for a report. But the king gets off of his throne. He goes down there. And he wants to check it out for himself. And he opens up the furnace. And he looks into the furnace. Now what the text don't say, but the indication is there, is that there is a long lapse of time between when the boys were thrown in there and the king coming to check. And how you know that? Because the fire was so hot that it killed those who threw him in there. But now the king is able to come stand and a furnace that's now cooled down. Lord help me preach. So he stands there. He looks into the furnace expecting to see nothing but ashes. But he gets confused, shakes his head and said, come here, counselors. What did I tell y'all to do? Didn't I give y'all instructions? What did I tell you to do? Didn't I tell you to cut off the lights? Didn't I tell you to pick up the car? Didn't I tell you to foreclose on the house? Didn't I tell you to shut them down? What's going on here? Why is the light still on? I said the devil wants to know why is the light still on? Why she still driving a car? Why they still in that house? I had planned for them to lose it by now. I had planned for the house to be repossessed. I had planned for the car to go back. The devil wants to know why do they still have their stuff and they don't have money to pay for it? Why are they still living large when their income don't measure up to where they are? Why are they still on top of the hill when they ought to be in the valley? I set it up for their demise. I set it up to be repossessed. I set it up for them to be foreclosed. Why are they still there? Didn't you do what I told you to do? They said, yeah, King, we declare we did it. We did what you told us to do. And the king says, well, if you did it, explain what I'm looking at. You threw in 3 bound up hat, garment, coat, hoses. But now I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 that I know I recognize. The 4th one, well, according to history, he looks like the Son of God. Lord have mercy. I said, Lord have mercy. How do I bring it from the then to the now? You need to understand that there's an unseen guest that walks with me. My grandma said it like this. He walks with me. He talks with me. And he tells me that I'm his child. Lord have mercy.